let's talk about the remote work revolution. Now, in the last few years, probably about 4 years or so, you will have noticed that a lot of people have begun to work remotely. And so I think it's opened up the eyes of many businesses. First of all, how they can stay evergreen, even if maybe they're not allowed to have their doors open during certain times, and how they can stay alive as a business. So I think it's allowed a lot of businesses to either kind of sink or swim in this situation, and they had the opportunity to learn and to adapt to the changing market environment. So they had to learn how they can still service their customers, possibly in a remote way. So now if you have all these companies that are beginning to serve their customers in a remote way, that kind of begs the question. It's like, okay, well, do the employees have to be on site then, or can they work remotely? And so a lot of these companies have opted for allowing their people to work remotely, and a lot of those rules have become a lot more lenient. However, there are definitely some outliers, including like Tesla and Elon Musk and stuff like that, who have really opposed that. And they really want people to be at the office, at the factory, right? Because they want them to be physically there and doing all these activities physically in person. And I think as CEO, it's kind of up to you, right? Because you understand your business, you understand what it takes to run that business, and you also have a personal preference, right? It doesn't mean that Elon Musk is right or wrong, but it means that he has a preference and he understands what he wants from his employees. And so me personally, I have a hybrid model. I have some people that I work with in person, and I know how they like to work, and I like seeing them face to face during certain projects that we work on. But I also have people that I barely ever see because they work remotely, and so we don't get much FaceTime in person, but we get to see each other on Zoom calls and stuff like that. And so it's just a totally different working environment. And I think that the hybrid model is actually where most companies are going to land, where they're going to have most of the people probably in office, and then they're going to have some hybrid workers who are working from around the country or around the world even. Now, there's a whole different category that we're going to talk about in just a bit, and those are the digital nomads. But for now, let's just talk about a traditional company, or possibly even a corporation, and a corporate structure of how these employees could be working within that organization. So firstly, you have the companies who are like totally strict on people coming into the office. And I think that in some industries that's necessary. So for example, if you're running a hospital, right? And AI is a whole different topic, and the future of like telemedicine and stuff like that, that's a whole different topic. But let's say right now in the current state that we're in, you need to have people inside the hospital, nurses, doctors, all those people. Like, I wouldn't want to come into the hospital and my doctor's like halfway around the world somewhere, and he's just like giving me a Zoom call to give me advice on what I should do. It just doesn't quite feel right. I don't think I'm there yet. I think maybe some people are okay with that, but I think the majority of the population would agree that they would prefer to see their physician in person. However, I think that with the rise of AI, with the rise of ultra high speed internet, we're going to have telemedicine, and we're also possibly even going to have many of the services that are provided by the hospital done remotely through AI, robots, and remote control from maybe some sort of central hub somewhere. So that kind of opens a whole new world of opportunities. But right now, in the current space that we're in, I think most people would prefer to have people in the hospital, nurses, doctors, and all those staff that are working directly with you. And I think that it also kind of gives us an opportunity to think about, well, what would it look like if everybody was remote? If everybody was remote, it'd probably have to be some sort of tech company, right? Something more digital. And these people can work from their home and be just as effective as they are from the office. And again, that's another kind of 50-50 thing. It's like, are you more effective from home? I know personally I am, because I have more of my day that I can work. I don't have to commute anywhere. I don't have to think about all the different aspects of going to an office and stuff like that. So I know I have more physical work time at home, but I also know that some people live with maybe their family, they have children, they have pets, and those are all distractions. So the less distractions that you have in your office, I think the better, and it allows you to be more productive. So I think employees need to be graded on their productivity. So if they're at home, they have to hit certain benchmarks as far as productivity. It has to be tracked, it has to be reported on. If they're at the office, it's a little bit different because obviously you see all your coworkers and your boss and you're all working together on certain projects and stuff like that. And so it's a little bit of a different dynamic there. And I think having a hybrid team, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you can kind of compare the productivity. I mean, if you're doing similar projects for your clients every single time, a really simple way to identify whether you can fully go remote is have one team be in office and work on one project, and then maybe have another team work on the same project in parallel and have them work remotely, or a similar project in parallel and have them work remotely, and just kind of look at the output of both teams. Because, you know, while the team might not be exactly the same, I think generally speaking, you have the same standard of work. And so whoever meets or exceeds the standard could potentially, you know, give you a signal to see which direction you might want to take as a business owner. But again, I think it's up to the business owner entirely, and it's totally your preference. So I think it's really opened up this world of opportunities, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go, because it allows us to work so much more efficiently, and it gives you this pool of talent that is actually nationwide or even globally that you can tap into and work together with and collaborate with to create excellent deliverables for your clients. Now, the category that we wanted to talk about as well is digital nomads. These are people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, and they've decided that they're never going to have an office, or at least in the near future. So these people sometimes don't even have a house. I literally know several people like this where they don't have a home. They may keep their stuff in some sort of storage unit or something like that, but for the most part, they're traveling the world and they know how to do it well. So they've basically decided to live a life on the road, and a lot of times it's actually not that much more expensive than living in an expensive city, for example. I know if you're living in New York City or something like that, it would be very expensive to rent an apartment. And for the same amount of money, it's likely that you could stay in a pretty nice hotel in many different cities around the world. So they just kind of bounce around all over the place and get to see the world and work and do everything at the same time. And that's more of like a lifestyle though. So if your priority is having that lifestyle, maybe it's an opportunity for you to start a business and become an entrepreneur. Because if you become a digital nomad or an entrepreneur that isn't tied to one physical location, you can do all those things. There's nobody stopping you. And so I think that's one of the most beautiful things that we have with the internet, with social media, with this world that we live in. It's just opened up so many more opportunities for us to take advantage of as entrepreneurs. And it's up to us to find a way to build something around that. So if you're a remote worker, or you're working in the office, or maybe you're a digital nomad, I want you guys to leave in the comments below your thoughts on whether companies should be fully remote, whether they should have fully in-house staff, or if they should encourage actually decentralized approach where they have digital nomads that fulfill certain services that the company provides. So I want to know your thoughts below. My thoughts personally is that I think a hybrid workplace is the way to go, because that allows you to not limit yourself to one physical location. So I can hire anybody I want. I'm not limited geographically, but I also have a core team in the office that I know I can depend on. I know that I can see all the time. And I know that these people are, you know, excited to be there, build culture and all those different things that are important for an organization to thrive. So anyways, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.